Well, thank you everybody and welcome. Thank you for making it out tonight. I don't know if it's still out there and raining or not, but we appreciate you making the drive tonight. Good evening and welcome to our 2024 Candidate Forum for upcoming primary elections. I am Megan McCrae, the Executive Director for the Cecil County Chamber of Commerce. I am truly grateful to see you all here tonight. Before we dive into the program, I would like to take a moment and thank our host, Cecil College and Milburn Stones Theater. Thank you. I would also like to thank our sponsors. They have made this event possible tonight. Thank you to Patriots Glen Golf Course and Artesian Water. Thank you. A few things for tonight. As we proceed, I want to remind everybody of our rules of engagement. They are outlined in your program. I'll go over them quickly here. For our panelists or our candidates, we ask that you maintain civility and respect throughout the forum. Electronic devices, including cell phones, AirPods, and smartwatches, are not permitted on stage or in the sequestered area. If you are in county council and your district is not going, you will be sequestered, and those devices will not be allowed during that time. And we ask that you, I skipped one, sorry. Respect all other candidates and their response time. Adhere strictly to the allotted time while delivering your answers. And for our audience members, maintaining civility and respect throughout the event. Refrain from clapping until the candidate has completed their response. We do ask that you applaud when the red sign is shown. We'll go over that in a minute. What I would like to do too is explain a little bit about our questions. So tonight's questions are directed to the contested candidates with the Cecil, I say that every time, not Cecil County, but the county council candidates, and followed by our contested county executive candidates. We'd like to take a moment and recognize our non-contested candidates. When I call your name, please stand to be recognized. Non-contested candidate for County Council, District 1, Michelle Rayvert. And non-contested council county candidate for District 5, Russ Malrath. And for county executive non-contested candidate, Bill Kilby. Thank you all for being here tonight, and we look forward to hearing from you in our candidate forum in the fall. It's also important to note that while we appreciate the presence of our Board of Education candidates, tonight's event will only feature contested seats in the primary election. They will be invited to participate in our fall candidate forum prior to the general election. Thank you for being here tonight. The questions that will be asked tonight have been carefully crafted based on the Chamber's legislative priorities and feedback from our esteemed members. To keep things interesting, neither the candidates nor the audience have been privy to any of the questions beforehand. Each candidate will be given a minute to introduce themselves. The candidates will then be given 2 minutes to respond to each question. At the end of their questioning, they will get 1 minute for wrap-up. To ensure fairness and focus, we will hold up a yellow warning card to signal that their time is running out. When the red card is held up, this will signal to them that time is over. This is where we ask for participation of our audience. We ask that when the red card is held up, that we clap them out. Let's practice. Oh, I think we could do a little better. All right, hold up the card. We are ready. Thank you for your help in that. The selection process for the questions will involve an audience member picking the envelope. This will determine which order the candidates will answer the questions, which district will go first, and which questions will be asked. No two envelopes are the same. As we move forward, County Council will be grouped by district. The district that is answering the questions second will be sequestered. Due to fairness, to ensure fairness during this time, they will not be allowed their electronic devices until their time of questioning is over. We will provide trays for the candidates on stage to place their electronic devices in, or they may remain with you, just not on the table and not in use. Now let's turn our attention to the heart of tonight's proceedings. I'm delighted to introduce Yvette Valentine, the Cecil County Chamber of Commerce Board Chair. She will be moderating tonight the County Council Candidates segment. Let's welcome Yvette.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you. Yes, thank you for coming out. This is an amazing turnout. To kick things off, I'd like to ask the audience member who has the blue ticket to come down, please. Yay, thank you. The first draw will determine which district and candidate will go first, and the second draw will determine the order of the questions.
Okay, so this will be the first group to go. It will be District 5 will be going first.
All right.
And the order will be starting with candidate Gregory.
Thank you.
Call one more time because we're going to know who's going to be in the next group. Let's see if this is okay. All right. So District 1, you'll be sequestered, but when you come back out, candidate Methley will be answering first.
All right. Thank you so much. That wasn't that fun.
Give her a round of applause.
So our first group is District 5. So if District 1 could follow Miss Jess Solak to be sequestered.
See, I was just getting caught.
The yellow card is 30 seconds.
Yes, the yellow card would be 30-second warning, and the red card is...
Time's up.
All right, go grab a seat and
Can you tell me when it's at 30 so I don't look?
Try.
Can you say yellow?
So at this time, I would like to welcome candidate Jackie Gregory and candidate Dawn Branch. You will have 1 minute to introduce yourselves, and since candidate Gregory will be answering the question first, candidate Branch, you will have the first minute to speak.
thank you. Real quick, we need to decide our envelopes. Do we have another ticket holder?
Sorry.
Blue?
Really?
All right, come on down. Again, no two envelopes are the same. The envelope that is picked will be asked of our first candidates. The second envelope will go to our second group. All right, perfect.
Now we'll start with the 1-minute introduction. Candidate Branch, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce and Cecil College and Milburn Theater for hosting us tonight, and thank you to everyone that came out in attendance to hear us. My name is Dawn Branch, and I am running for the District 5 County Council seat. I have been a resident of Cecil County for almost 20 years. I was elected to the school board for 8 years, 5 years for president. The county vision statement states, Cecil County is a place of opportunity for all, known in economic vitality, quality education, and safe communities. I am running for county council because I want to serve our residents and make our vision statement a reality. I believe in transparency and accountability from every agency and department, as well as from the county executive and council president. What's happening now is not respectful, it is not kind, it is not courteous. Different opinions and mindsets are currently met with hostility and attacks. This is not how a leader acts. I will engage in civic, respectful discussions with fellow elected officials, business professionals, and the residents of Cecil County. We can be courteous and professional while listening and learning. I will represent the best interests of the whole county.
Thank you, Candidate Branch. Now, Candidate Gregory, the floor is all yours for 1 minute.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you to everyone for participating, and thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event. My name is Jackie Gregory, the current councilwoman from District 5. I live in Elk Neck with my family, and I'm a former teacher with a master's degree in education. I'm a lifelong Republican who has served under 2 administrations with a proven conservative record of opposing tax increases and supporting both income and property tax cuts, as well as a $20 million rebate. I look forward to voting for additional tax relief this year for our citizens and businesses during record high inflation and looming tax increases from the state. As the council representative to MACO, I bring state legislation to the council for support or opposition. I've been a staunch supporter of our Second Amendment, property rights, and parental rights. Along with my consistent conservative voting record, I supported increases for public safety and drafted a bill to establish a local Veterans Commission to better serve our veterans. I look forward to answering your questions this evening and ask for your support on May 14th.
Thank you, Candidate Gregory. So our first question will be on the screen as well as in our candidates' hands. The Cecil County Charter refers to the county executive as in charge of the executive branch or administration, and the county council as the legislative branch or in charge of policy. Describe the differences between the executive and legislative branches in regard to function and responsibilities. Candidate Gregory?
All right, thank you. So if you think about the federal government, the county council is basically like Congress, and the executive branch is like the president. We vote on legislation. Every bit of spending has to come through the county council for approval. Before the county executive can execute anything, it has to come through the county council. So we're in charge of being the checks and balances on the administration. The administration is in charge of basically running the departments and getting into the intricacies of government. We used to be a commissioner form of government where you had both bodies doing the executive and legislative. The voters voted for a charter, so we would have those separate branches and those separate responsibilities. And as a county council person, it's my job to understand what's going on with the county executive. The county council is considered a part-time position, although I would probably argue about that a little bit, because we do invest a lot of time in it. It takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of time. I'm an avid researcher and a learner. So that is what I invest my time in doing, and being aware of what's going on in the county. We work with the administration, but we are the checks and balances, and the executive is responsible for running the county. The county executive sets the budget and is responsible for carrying out the budget. But All of that comes to us. We're getting ready to start budget hearings very soon, where we will listen to every department, go through every line item budget, and ask questions to make sure we understand that your tax dollars are being put to good use, that things are being done fiscally prudently, and that we are being responsible. And that is our job out on the county council.
Thank you, Candidate Gregory. Candidate Branch, hold please, we're winding down the timer. Okay, you have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. As Ms. Gregory stated, the county executive is the executive branch. The 5 members of county council are the legislative branch. Both of these are supposed to work together, as the charter said, as the checks and balances. The charter was voted on by everybody in 2010, and it was established because of a checks and balances system. That doesn't mean rubber stamping everything that the county executive says. It means doing your due diligence, finding out if it's the best way to go, and then moving forward, which may in fact be what the county executive recommends. The most important thing I can say without repeating Ms. Gregory is that it is about a checks and balances government. The former commissioner government was 5 individuals that made all of the decisions across the board. The current charter government does allow for checks and balances, which means 5 county council people get to make their own decisions, whether they are in support of or against the county executive. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Branch. Moving on to question number 2.
We have 1 minute. Isn't there a 1 minute afterwards to follow up or now?
That's at the end.
Okay.
Yes. All right, so question number 2. Cecil County Public Schools, Cecil College, and Cecil County Public Library System ensure that all citizens have access to the necessary knowledge, skills, and general information required to be successful in the 21st century. Given that the county executive creates the budget and that the council has limited authority to change proposed allocations within the budget, how will you advocate for what you believe is necessary for these 3 entities to be in the best interest of citizens? Candidate Branch?
Thank you. First of all, Cecil County Public Schools, the library system, and Cecil College have been neglected by our county government for years when it comes to funding. And don't mistake what I say with my words. I do not support any blank check spending. I do not support raising taxes. What I believe in is fiscal responsibility. That means taking care of the needs of the county. That doesn't mean funneling it and saving it for rainy days. It's been raining a lot, but I don't see the upcoming budget being any better. The library system has many roadblocks, especially when it came to the Northeast branch being built. With Cecil College, their funding continues to get reduced by the state level, with minimal funding coming from the county, which unfortunately means that there may be tuition increases, which our community can't afford. Cecil County Public Schools has received maintenance of effort for 3 years in a row, and a current budget proposal of $4 million over the local share amount. $17 million was needed to maintain current positions and programs. All of this has occurred while the county executive has offered a tax rebate, not a check, to some of our residents, but not all of our residents. We have extended the debt of $54 million for 30 years at a 4.4% interest rate. And yet, another tax rebate has been proposed. Debt and underfunding of education affect current and future generations. We do not increase debt while sitting on unused reserves. And again, this doesn't mean that we don't save money when revenues are down. This means that we take care of our county now. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Branch. Candidate Gregory, questions?
Thank you. As an educator for 23 years, I know the value of a good educational system to a community. It does have the power to be the great equalizer of mankind. Unfortunately, the current discussion surrounding school funding has been based on a false claim of insufficient funding over the last 3 years, when the reality is Cecil County Public Schools has seen the largest increase in funding by $46 million, larger than in the 3 years prior to this administration, where it was only increased by $13.5 million. That includes $19 million in additional federal funds, $25 million in additional state funds to kickstart the blueprint, and additional county funds. Those funds were supposed to be used to hire additional teachers and reduce class sizes, but unfortunately they weren't. That's not a funding issue, but that's a management issue. In FY22, when Dr. Lawson requested maintenance of effort, he said the following: "Now we have an inverse problem," which is a nicer problem to have, by the way. "The only way you are going to use this much money is through people, and we will be aggressively hiring teachers, paraprofessionals for student supports. You will not see any class sizes above 25 for at least the next several years." Unfortunately, that did not happen, and in fact, additional administrators were hired instead of teachers. We've seen a decline in some of the teachers from 2020, whereas if you look at the state documents from MSDE, the teachers declined, but the coordinators actually increased, and those would hire, if we were to go to what other counties our size were doing, we could hire 60 additional teachers. I support the current budget for the school system. It increases by $9 million over last year's funding. It increases capital projects, and the state is also kicking in another $3.5 million with the additional reserve funds saved under when the schools were closed, which is $8 million. There should be no need to get rid of any teachers or.
Thank you, Candidate Gregory. Moving on to question 3. Okay. The legalization of recreational cannabis has entered year 2. What issues have arisen locally, and how do you recommend these should be addressed? Candidate Gregory?
Thank you for that question. Yeah, this is completely new territory for us. We worked recently to develop cannabis zoning legislation at the local level. There's been still some discussion at the state on how to work out the zoning issues, because the state likes to have control of these things. So we're in a trial phase right now with that. One of the major issues we are going to have is with enforcement, with liquor licenses and that sort of thing. We have a liquor board. We try to get legislation passed through the state this year to allow the liquor board to be the enforcement arm of this at the local level, because right now the state put nothing in place with that. We're working with MACO to try to work this out. I'm the county representative from the county council to MACO, and we work with other counties. I've gone to multiple forums on this, and we are aggressively working with the state to try to make this law better. All the kinks weren't ironed out before it was passed. So we're gonna have to work through the enforcement part of it. We're gonna have to work through, I know it's created a lot of concerns for law enforcement. And one of the biggest issues too is that most of the tax revenue that's coming in is going right to the state, which really should come to the county to be able to deal with the additional enforcement and that sort of thing that's going to be needed, but that's not happening. So through MACO, we'll continue to lobby for county autonomy and county rights through this, and come up with making sure that we're doing this the right way and that it doesn't have a negative impact on our community.
Thank you, Candidate Gregory. Candidate Branch?
As Ms. Gregory stated, a lot of the regulations will come from the state and filter down to the county. I think some of the major issues that we have to worry about are what the police force have to deal with. The same as when people drink and drive. You don't want people to smoke and drive. You don't want them to be out doing dangerous things. It's regulated to do in their own homes. I think the issues are public safety and how the regulations that go with the dispensaries. That is what we have to be concerned with on a day-to-day basis, mainly our public safety personnel. And since I have a little time left, I'd like to address something that Ms. Gregory said before. The $9 million that was proposed to the school system, that's $5 million because local share dictated it, which is the state minimum. That's $4 million additional over what the state requires total. Also, the money that was given during, as we're calling it, the COVID money, new teachers were not hired. The money was a stabilizer so that we didn't lose jobs and teachers and school personnel during COVID when the school system shut down. Thank you.
Candidate French. Moving on to question number 4. And the final question for this evening for our District 5 candidates. What can the County Council do to ensure that local businesses can operate in an environment that facilitates productivity and success? Do you have any specific recommendations regarding how the local business climate can be improved? Candidate Branch?
For starters, we need to concentrate on our relationships with small business. Entrepreneurs are the backbone to our community. They are our residents, they are working hard, and they deserve the support that we have to offer. We also need to consider the fact that a lot of our businesses in the county do not have a trained workforce to hire from. There are a lot of positions open. There are not a lot of trained people. We need to make sure that we have people that are in the professional jobs and trades jobs that are ready and willing to work. This can be done by adequately funding Cecil County Public Schools and Cecil College. Right. We have help with the Susquehanna Workforce Network and the library system. They help to train for basic skills like interviewing, resume building, and they also help with job search. That is free to residents. Blueprint requires a 45% ratio for high school graduates to complete an apprenticeship or industry recognized credential by the year 2030-31. This means that the state has prioritized it and that they are aware of the immense benefits that students and employers can both gain. Also from the state is Maryland Works. It's a requirement for the established infrastructure that will allow for our county to increase a trained workforce. Again, I go back to shop local. I was a small business owner for 15 years. I know what those words mean. That is the bread and butter of those individuals. They deserve a better relationship with county council, county government, and chambers of commerce that can all work together to build a small business community. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Branch. Candidate Gregory, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. During the time that I've been on county council, we've actually transitioned from being just a bedroom community to a community with many opportunities for people not only to live and play, but also to work. I've consistently supported lower taxes, including lower personal property taxes, which help businesses, and they also help make it more affordable for workers to live here, make us more enticing for people to come here. One thing we've done in Mako is, the Maryland Association of Counties, is we lobby against regulations that hurt businesses, but we also support things that help businesses. I support an expansion of Northrop Grumman to bring higher paying jobs to Cecil County. We've gotten away from giving tax incentives to just bring more warehouses in because we need better jobs for our workers here, our citizens here. And when in the prior administration, I voted against those tax rebates for warehouses. And fortunately, under this administration, that has not been a priority of this administration. We're working to bring more manufacturing, those kind of jobs in. Also, when it comes to the school system, we really need to focus on having better outcomes for our students. And there's some ways that we can do that so they'll be prepared for the workforce. We need to stop passing kids through if they haven't mastered the requisite skills to move on to the next grade. We also need to bring back discipline so teachers can get back to the job of teaching and not have to just work at managing behavior and moving away from losing learning time because they're trying to deal with behavior. So there's a lot of things that we can do. We need to focus on funneling money into the classroom. Unfortunately, that hasn't been done. The administration has grown when there was a promise of new teachers. We need to hold the school system accountable, and we need to continue to support the School of Technology. We need to continue to support Cecil College. I can't say enough about Cecil College and the partner they've been in our community for businesses.
Thank you, Candidate Gregory. Now we will each have a 1-minute wrap-up, and we will start with candidate Gregory.
Thanks again to the Chamber and the audience this evening. I'm Jackie Gregory, the only candidate for District 5 with a proven conservative record. I founded and led a local conservative organization, the Cecil County Patriots, before taking office and have been fighting for conservative values for many years. I've not just talked the talk, which many politicians do, I've walked the walk the last 7 years. Unlike my opponent, I have not pandered to local liberal organizations like our local Defund the Police group. I've not stood with groups that have urged canceling of local businesses. I don't know how you can say you can support businesses and urge canceling of them just because they put up an opponent's sign politically. And I've not supported Democrats changing to Republicans to disrupt our party or supported candidates who raised our taxes. I respect your tax dollars and will continue to be a good steward of that money. I will continue to serve and ask everyone to come out and support me, Jackie Gregory, on May 14th, and also get out and vote for Donald Trump because we need strong Republican leadership at all levels of our country.
Thank you, candidate Gregory. Candidate Branch, you will now have 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you again to the Chamber, Cecil College, and everyone here tonight. I will not always be able to say yes to everyone, and hard decisions have to be made. But know that through the process, I will support public education and public safety, small businesses, and all essential services. I will treat all stakeholders with respect because your voices matter and deserve to be heard. I want to make our community better, stronger, and more competitive. I will foster positive change through fiscal responsibility and conservative spending and restore checks and balances back to the charter as it was written. By prioritizing our county needs, I can work as part of a team to ensure efficient allocations to our county needs and its sustainability and long-term growth. This requires you to vote for Dawn Branch to be your next county council member.
At this time, this concludes District 5's questions, and we will collect the questions as you gather yourselves together, and our next group will come out. Thank you so much.